Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Jared Feldman. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting Life Unscripted. I'm so grateful to have you for our Life After COVID series, a wonderful series that helps businesses get back on track. There's been a lot of businesses feeling the sway of everything going about the world and in the U.S., but you're here to help people measure the emotional intelligence of their posts, their social media posts, get more in tune to how they can really connect with their audience on a deep level. We spoke before the interview how you said sometimes we can post things out there and feel like it's going into the big void. Are we really connecting people? How are we connecting with people? How are they experiencing our content? And you're going to share all of that. You are the CEO of Canvas.ia that really helps people do that. Share a little bit about how you came into this whole realm of working in this company and creating this company.
Yeah, happy to, Christina. And thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Canvas, came from this burning desire to help the world understand and be more empathetic. And really that gets accomplished through understanding why people behave the way that they do, which is driven from our emotion, right? All of our decisions as human beings is driven by how we feel. From an early age, I was fascinated with art and culture and music and things that made us feel stuff. My family is full of artists and creators, but I've also got a keen mind to try to really sort of at scale build products that can help enable empathy. And so what we've done at Canvas is we've created a software that takes any text that you feed it, whether it's comments on your Facebook blog or Instagram posts, or even surveys that you ask your consumers that have open-ended responses. And what we're going to give back to you, Christina, is a very clear and concise, easy and accurate read of how that group of humans are feeling and why they're feeling that way. And you mentioned it in the upfront about experience and sort of the experience that we have as consumers when creators put things out into the world will affect how we respond to it. It affects whether we tell a friend, whether we buy your product. Mm-hmm. And effectively every single business on the planet has these two types of data. You have your operational data, like, for example, how many people listen to your podcast, and then the experiential data, which is how are people experiencing the content that you're putting out. And we play in the experiential data space, and we're trying to arm enterprises with how their consumers are feeling and why, and it just enables more empathy and accelerates the feedback loop in a way that drives more meaningful and human decisions.
So talking more about empathy, because it's something I don't hear a lot, empathy and business connected together. It's like they're two usually different animals. You see it when you talk about art or paintings or the art world, but not so much in the business world. So explain more for people. Empathy is really building the connection emotion-wise to your client, customers, and the people you're reaching. Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, think about it. So every decision we make as a business leader, as a business generally, you've got a brand, a product, a service you're putting out into the world, and you expect it to be experienced a particular way. If I've got a movie coming out, I'm going to cut a trailer and I'm hoping that it gets people excited, right? Or I'm an e-commerce brand and I'm putting out a new product, and I'm like, there's a lot of angst there. I'm really hoping that it resonates, that people think it's cool, because if they think it's cool, or I'm trying to create FOMO on a new brand I'm launching, and all of these things are basically about, all right, who is my consumer, and what do I want them to feel? And feelings are really important and powerful, and it's the sort of the underlying thesis of our business is that empathy is both measurable and actionable. That empathy now at this stage at scale through solutions like Canvas, you can actually quantify how empathetic you're being, how passionate is the audience? Are they feeling excited or think you're cool? Are they planning to attend based upon what they're talking about? And these are all things that are available to you readily as a business. Brands have unlimited amounts of text at their disposal, whether they know it or not. And 90+% of it gets wasted, either because it's moving too quickly or it's very unstructured and or it requires just too much manual or subjective sort of involvement. And it's just this cognitive and administrative overhead to having to, for example, if you were to do a survey and get all the responses from your listeners, you'd be excited, but you've got a lot of listeners. You got to read through a lot of pieces of text to figure out what's going on there.
Yeah.
And this is broadly kind of an exciting area for software and AI generally, is to try to take these established business practices that are disproportionately important, but that are overly manual, and come up with a way that elegantly summarizes and alleviates some of the friction there. And the long short is, as a business owner, you need to know your experiential data just as well as you know your operational data, because one drives the other.
I love, you said so many key points here that are important. And one thing I really like, we did a survey, I think a year and a half ago, on what did our clients, our customers listening in want, and also our advertisers. And one thing they really wanted is shorter podcasts. We were doing much longer podcasts, and they're like, my time is limited. Can you put out more, but make them shorter so I can listen to them? And also more experiential. So they wanted a live Wednesday show they could tune in, and it just happened. And it's like content that relevant to today.
Awesome.
Yeah. But what's
when
great,
you did that, you made that change, and like you were probably so much more confident in making those decisions because you knew it was exactly what your audience wanted, and your audience was probably extraordinarily excited that you're listening to them, right? And that's the empathy loop we were talking about off air, that they had these feelings, you heard it, took action, and they feel heard, and that makes them all the more excited to be a part of this community.
yeah, absolutely. But I like what Canvas does here is they would make that very accessible on a continual basis. It wouldn't, the survey process that we did was kind of extensive and took a lot of time. This would make it easier for businesses to get that information readily on a daily basis and find out what's going on, how they can listen. You know, things change. Also, this world, as we've seen in the past year, with the way there's been a lot of fear and people have had their own angst and whatever, for you to be able to listen in and tune in that much more quickly to hear what your audience or people or your customers need.
Oh, exactly. I think you're raising an important point, that emotion just by definition is impermanent, right? Its relevancy has a deadline. If you're not understanding it quickly, it kind of declines in importance over time because it's likely to change. How your audience or consumer feels right this moment, by next week, something totally unexpected could happen, as we now know is possible, and their entire emotion and psyche could change. Mm-hmm. And what's cool, and you talked about how you don't really hear often about business leaders and owners talking about empathy as much. When we started the company back in 2014, we were we sounded way out of place, but we were, having these meaningful dialogues with companies that realized that if they listened to their customers and understood how they felt, that they could, really drive home meaningful business decisions. And so I hate, it's a bit of a paradox, but businesses may not actually care how you feel, but they certainly care what you do because of it. And ultimately, if you can help, and what we try to sort of help our customers like Disney and Netflix and Kia and Chobani and all these brands that you love, what they're able to now understand with Canvas is really that finger on the pulse, as you described it, like more touch points, more understanding of how our audiences and consumers feel and what they want so that we can better serve them.
Yeah. And Jared, you said something important. I had talked to a business owner a couple of years ago. It said, some good business owners get so stuck in, oh, my product's awesome. It does this, it does that. And they're just going off and they're thinking everyone should be just as excited about this product, service, or information that I'm selling because I am. But he said, that's not what connects with people. You really have to be looking at it from emotional. He said, really, the way I come in is I have a story to connect them to whatever it is that I'm bringing to them. And that has to be a story that's relevant, that touches their emotional, what's important to them emotionally. And so there's that key point that you were talking about. It has to connect emotionally. If it doesn't connect emotionally, they're not going to want to connect with you or your business or what you're selling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say this is particularly true. We've learned with the millennial and Gen Z generation, especially that sort of brand conscious, value conscious buyers that want to feel like you're hearing them. And if you're not, it comes off obtuse. It comes off in a way that actually really disconnects you from the buyer and the opportunity there. And you just don't want to miss out in that way.
Yeah, and you said something important. For me, more or less, those past several years, I'm looking to be more conscious about what does the product do to the environment? Is it, many different factors are playing, and not just is this inexpensive? Because now I'm willing to pay more for something that's high quality that connects with what matters to me. And if I hear the company does that, hey, I'll pay you more. It doesn't,
Yeah, absolutely. I'm smiling because I'm reminded literally just this morning was working with the brand who was running their surveys through Canvas, and the question was, "What about the product motivates you to buy it?" Right? It's really trying to understand the value of sort of the underpinnings of the behavior. And the belief was a sort of air freshener, and it has a great smell to it, obviously. And the bet was, of course, you'd think they buy it because of the smell. And you brought up environmentally conscious. The brand itself is very environmental leaning, like it sort of markets itself as being green and friendly. And it wasn't the price, it wasn't the smell, it wasn't the accessibility or the convenience. It was because of the environmental piece that they felt that it aligned with their values of being environmentally conscious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it changed the entire game, right? Now their marketing can be adjusted, their messaging, if they want to make sure that they're hitting the right notes in all their creative content and website and digital. The ROI on just that insight is astounding. And so that's really what we're trying to empower is making sure that the brands are really hearing us.
Yeah. And making the tweets if necessary, because sometimes it's not like throw it in the garbage product, it needs to go away. Maybe it just needs a tweak. Maybe there's something about your product that isn't socially conscious or environmentally conscious, but you can make a slight variation or change that can give your clients what they need, and boom, and totally increase your revenue.
No, you talked about the stories that we tell. And that's really all that a brand is what is the story the consumer tells themselves about you? Like when they hear your brand, what is the story that they're saying about you? And is it, oh, it's the cheapest, or, oh, it's, the most environmentally friendly, or, oh, it speaks to me. Right. And it doesn't, those are all emotions. Stories. A good story hits home emotionally. And that's really what we're trying to help enable.
Yeah, it is fabulous. Now, what does it look like? You're a new business, you're checking out Canvas. How long does it take to get up and going and to start getting that feedback? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's a great question. So historically, there's a lot of friction points to go from the moment where you as a marketing executive want to know how your consumer feels and the moment you actually get to understand it, right? You're typically doing lots of focus groups or setting up lots of meetings. And so what we wanted to do is create an experience that was just near real time. And we talk about the importance of timeliness and relevancy. So we serve a web-based application that you can log into, and we broadly do two things. We're either monitoring social for you, social media, or we're what we call BYOD, or just bring your own data. You've got text at your disposal, even in an Excel spreadsheet or CSV, an export from a SurveyMonkey or Qualtrics or whatever you're using. You can, in less than 30 seconds, start to understand how people are feeling.
Yeah.
On the social side, you can just put in the social handles that you want to track, or a couple of links that are important to you, like the YouTube video, and you want to see how people are reacting to it, for example. Mm-hmm. Or on the survey side, if you run it, I don't know what you ran. What did you run your survey in when you did your survey? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was SurveyMonkey.
SurveyMonkey. So it's SurveyMonkey. You click export to Excel, you log into Canvas, you upload it, and within 30 seconds, it'll summarize for you all of the open-ended text.
That's awesome.
And it's just that fast. And to be honest, like, we're not really competing with another technology per se. Most folks are just avoiding open-ended responses altogether, or they're doing some sort of manual approach that, they're in Excel or they're reading it themselves. And so part of why we like to do podcasts like this is really just to sort of encourage people to try new things. You know what I mean? It's like, really, don't let inertia beat you. There's new ways in which that you can tackle this. And we hope to be a good partner to folks that are willing to take that leap.
And you make a good point, because sometimes what you think your customers need or want, or what they're loving about your product, could throw you off completely when you put it into Canvas. And you're like, whoa, they're saying something totally different than what we thought. And by having that piece of information, now you can really connect with your clients, because they're like, boom, you guys want something socially or environmentally friendly. Well, we got your product right here. Boom.
Exactly. Yeah. A good marketer will assume nothing and validate everything. And that's really what the tools like Canvas can help empower.
Is there a monthly charge? How does it work when they get involved, or is there different price points?
Yeah, so we tend to work with large enterprises or medium-sized companies that have dedicated research budgets or consumer. We tend to work with researchers, consumer behavior, marketing groups, and it's very accessible. It's the pricing scales based on how much data you want us to look at. So if you want us to look at just your one survey, it's very it's not cost prohibitive at all. And we have customers that are analyzing a couple hundred pieces of text, and we have customers analyzing tens of millions of pieces of text. So it really just depends on sort of what you need. We have the actual software piece. We have APIs. So if you want this to be connected to any internal systems you have, or you want it to connect directly to SurveyMonkey or whatever survey tools you're using. And then we also have a services team. So we'll work really hard to, for groups that need it, we can help put together reports. We can, if you don't want to touch the thing at all and you're just like, I just need to know how people are feeling, we can help you with that too. So that's generally how we're structured, and the pricing is scalable based on how much you want to use it.
That makes sense. So I'm guessing, what's on the horizon for Canvas and yourself? Do you have any other apps or anything else planned for the public to help them with their company and connecting emotionally and empathetically?
Oh man, how much time do you get? How do you? It's the short content. Yeah, you said that. No, so we're really just making a lot of investment in the Canvas platform, and the hope is to be a true interpretation layer for anywhere that has open-ended text that needs interpreting. So we've opened up our technology. Any application that has short-form text can now leverage our APIs and build their own Canvas module inside of their application. We've announced a number of partnerships this year already of companies that are doing that. We've got many more that are coming this year. And that's really what the investments are in for us, is that we're really focused on all of the technology required to accurately, in an easy, frictionless manner, summarize what people are saying and why they're saying it. And then, we'll go from there. I would expect us to go into video. I would expect us to go into other forms of expression. But we're really just laser focused on fighting that inertia and really just helping folks get over the hump and really zero in on that experiential data that matters.
And that, Jared, that is so important, because that is the one thing people do not like change. For some reason, they're like, nah, we've been doing this for like 20 billion years. We'll just keep with this, focus groups, whatever. I've gone to focus groups. You generally pay each of the people some sort of money, and that can be quite pricey. So doing it in a new way here that's totally IA can be much more cost effective, get you the results you need much more instantaneously. You can't go wrong. So where does everyone go to get with Canvas and get going and really connect with their clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the best way to reach us is on the web, www.canvas.ai.
Awesome. Well, this has been truly fabulous. I thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today on Savvy Broadcasting. Thank you for coming.
Oh, it was my pleasure. This is so much fun, Christina. Thank you so much for the opportunity. We'll talk soon.
You betcha. Take care.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.